especially for the bass, because it's held. That's just the held bass, but then we have this gate. That's the extreme version of it. So there's a bit of an attack on it, so then...
This episode is being supported by Tapit, the iPhone recording app made for musicians by musicians.
So I'll solo the drums. So I think some of the, this is one thing that I thought was interesting to show, is that some of the initial elements that I was playing with before me and John sort of assembled all these elements into the beat was using a like Echo Boy on this kind of like, it's basically just like a impulse with a few like little rim samples. And then basically, you know, one thing that we love doing is kind of just running, you know, hitting record and then just generating tons of stuff that we can then chop later. And chopping things as audio, I think, is really cool, because then you're kind of committing, you're constantly committing. So that basically running that little like impulse thing into Echo Boy and then warping it, sort of like decapitating it a little bit, and then like swinging it to the swing of the track was one of the earliest things that I remember doing. And then it was like sort of building up like a mixture of MIDI shakers, some live kind of like more lush shakers, again like keeping everything really tight. I really wanted like an Armin kind of break, or a jungle think break, because this is a classic, and we haven't really used that in the track before. So that was kind of the sort of basis, and then we started building up some more of the crunch, like offbeat hats. Oh, this is the rim. And basically, we loved it feeling kind of crunchy, the rims being pitched down and like emphasizing like the note of the rim, so it was really tonal. Mm-hmm. And so then we were playing with like this offbeat sort of feeling, like really distorting things, like crunching things, committing to audio again, pitching down, but it being a very specific kind of like aesthetic of beat felt exciting to us. And then we played with a few different kick patterns. We wanted it to be broken beat, but we also didn't want it to be cluttered or busy or complicated. So we ended up with that kind of pattern. There's like space in it to let the bass kind of shine through.
Yeah, and I think having the focus on the offs here is really what helps bring it together in the record for me, in the having that homogeneous feeling throughout the record, because it still feels like you're moving 4/4, mm-hmm. even though it's this broken beat thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of like the main elements of the beat being generated. Another thing that I really like in this track that is kind of an identity of the production is things being stuttered. So we're using a lot of gating, especially for the bass, because it's held. That's just the held bass, but then we have this gate. That's the extreme version of it. So there's a bit of an attack on it, so then...
Time for a quick Tapit feature highlight. Among many of the brilliant features within Tapit, you can add a widget that lets you record straight from your lock screen. So when you have a song idea, just press record and focus on your music. To find out more, follow the link in the description or use the promo code TAPENOTES for 20% off Tapit Pro.
Using that really subtly so that it creates this subtle like whomp is something that kind of came as we were developing the idea of the track.
How are you doing that? Are you using a particular plugin for that?
I think we have used Shaperbox quite a lot, but this one, I think it was just a rim. There's like a gate. We're basically sending a rim. Maybe it's this guy. Let me play it. And it's just a transient that's to the swing of the track being received by the gate. There's Ableton gate plugin. There's a bit of an attack, bit of a hold. The floor is -8. So then it just like subtly moves, and it's like with everything playing, you don't really notice it, but you kind of feel it, especially on like a nice system. Like when we did a listening party in Sydney, And we played the album for like friends and family and a few fans. And I think that's when I remember hearing that womp properly for the first time and being like, damn, that sounds sick. So, and with that in mind, there's a few instances of sort of like gating in the track, like the pads at the start. It's like a layer of a choir and like this sort of like bendy sort of serum patch, I think, that we made. Oh no, that's actually what are these guys called? Oh, it's Scarborough, which is by Tyrone, who make these really sick boutique plugins we used a lot on this record, that kind of emulate like very tapey analog sounding, sort of already processed, like synth patches. So that's like a layer of that. But then again, there's this like use of the gate receiving like a swing, and then just that's the extreme version of it. Instead of just dialing in and out with automation, the floor of it, so it just feels like it's breathing a little bit. It's not, that's just a way that we like to sort of add life to a track, I think. So yeah, there's just a bunch of instances of things being swung and sitting on the groove of the track. And this is an element from the original idea from 2018, that Ty generated. That is this like Moog siren that I'll play for you guys. And I think it's been printed with processing and that sort of like Beats Mode gate thing that Ty did. There's like multiple instances of being printed, baked in, affected, printed, because we've like rehashed it over the years. So we basically just sort of like put a reverb on it, distorted that, gated that, EQ'd it. So it's like there's just like 5 layers of processing that have occurred over the last 6 years that result in this, whatever that sound is. But it's like really crunchy and it's sitting in the swing as well. I feel like everything's sort of glued together then for us with like the... Yeah.
I think that like some of the exciting parts, I guess, of rehashing the song was definitely this drums and this new feeling and leaning into this swing a bit more and only keeping a couple of elements. And then I guess another element that started to really bring the drop together or after these chorus feels, these post-chorus sort of sample feels was another exciting thing. We often are going through Splice and or even just looking through our older dance tracks and looking for inspiration, whether we just take a note or a feeling and try and redo it ourselves in lots of different ways. And so I think Tyrone ended up being the winner with one of the samples here as we all tried to drop in a few different feelings.